The story begins with a heist in which a group of 3 people are riding X-bikes through the streets of Barcelona. The police are chasing them, and the police leader Lucas is determined to catch this group of X-bikers this time. However, their speed is so high that no one can catch them. In the end, the thieves successfully escape, outsmarting the police. After this, the movie's intro rolls in and the scene shifts to the present day. We see that a grand racing event is about to take place featuring GT dirt bikes, also known as GT racing. The event's venue owner, Mr. Daniel Carella, is hosting the race, and his son Michael Carella is also participating. Daniel wishes for the best racer to win. As the race begins, everyone puts in their best efforts, trying hard to win the game. But victory will go to the one with the real skill and determination. Michael gives it his all and stays ahead for a good while. However, one of his opponents is much faster and far more experienced, so Michael loses the race. This loss angers Michael's father, Daniel, who yells at him saying, "How could you lose? We are already drowning in debt. If you had won this race, the prize money from the sponsors would have at least saved our house and the racetrack. We wouldn't have had to sell the bikes. But by losing this game, you've crushed all our hopes." Michael says, "You should have told us that so much was at stake. We would have played with more heart." But now the situation had gone beyond repair. Meanwhile, at the police department, we see Lucas and Helena discussing the case. Lucas explained that these thieves are no ordinary criminals, but highly professional, as their style of stealing is very unique. Moreover, they don't use any branded bikes, but instead ride X-bikes. Now guys, let me tell you what X-bikes are. These are bikes that are heavily modified and enhanced by tinkering with their components. For instance, taking out the engine of a regular bike and replacing it with a more powerful one, adding nitrous oxide cylinders, or using other gases to make the bike incredibly fast. So fast, it seems like it's flying. This is what X-bikes mean, and these are the kind of bikes the thieves used, which made them very hard to catch. On the other side of the story, one of the 3 thieves steals a rich man's watch. Although people try to catch him, the scene then shifts to the night. Here we see Daniel looking at his family's possessions, his entire house now at stake, and wondering what the future holds, as there's no money left. And on top of that, the kids are useless. They can't even win a race. Basically, Daniel back in his time was a master at riding dirt bikes. He had won countless races and had never lost. His sister was equally skilled. Now, while the family was already mourning the loss of the race, another dispute arose within the family. Who was the best racer among them? Here, Soeli, Michael's sister, was actually the better rider. However, after an accident, she had to get plates inserted in her hand, and the recovery process took a long time. That's why she gave up riding and shifted to working as a mechanic. She now focuses on fixing, maintaining, and repairing vehicles. When Michael asks his father, Daniel, who the best racer is, Daniel names Soeli. This leads to another argument between them. Everyone leaves the dining table. The next morning, in an effort to earn some money for the family, they decide to take an illegal route. A man approaches Michael and says, "I have a job for you. I've seen your riding skills. Your driving is excellent. We have some bikes that we need to test through a skilled rider. If you can do this job, we'll pay you 4,000 euros. Hearing this, they agree and head to test the bikes. As soon as Soeli sees the bikes, she realizes something is off. These bikes were not designed for normal biking or racing. There was definitely a bigger plan involving them. However, she couldn't figure out exactly what that plan was at the moment. Michael picks up one of the bikes, rides it, and comments, "This bike is too heavy. It has no speed, no power, and the torque is low. It's difficult to ride." Soeli responds, "Yes, there are definitely some technical issues. After making some changes, the power of this bike can be increased." Just then, Lucas arrives to catch his partner, as fingerprints from the stolen watch of a wealthy man had been found, leading the police straight to him. The partner tries to escape, but crashes into a car and falls. The police arrest him and take him away. Along with the troubled partner, the siblings' bike is also confiscated because he had tried to escape using their bike. Being in an illegal location, the siblings couldn't retrieve their bike, as attempting to do so would get them in trouble with the police, who would question their presence at the scene. This puts them in a tough spot. Although the agreed payment of 4,000 euros was handed over to them by Elias, he also gave them an additional 20,000 euros to compensate for the loss of the bike. Elias reasoned, "Look, the bike was worth 90,000 and what you're offering won't be enough for us," they argued. To this, Elias replied, "I won't just give you 40,000, I'll give you 140,000 if you start working for me." Meanwhile, the scene shifts to the interrogation room, where Lucas stands with Yassine questioning him. Lucas asks, "When will you confess to your crime?" Yassine responds defiantly, "Why should I confess to a crime I didn't commit? And besides, you can't harm me. First, I need to speak to my lawyer. Call my lawyer right away and only then will I say anything. Until then, I won't speak to you." The conversation stalls, wasting precious time. Skipping ahead, the story returns to Daniel, who is contemplating selling his wife's bike to ease their financial burden. He thinks selling this bike might help pay off some of the debt. However, he never understands why his wife loves this green bike so much. The bike wasn't particularly powerful. Neither the frame nor the engine was anything extraordinary. Even the color wasn't that appealing. Yet his wife cherished it deeply. At the same time, Sohaili notices the bike and becomes concerned that it might be sold in a rush for money. To prevent this, she decides to earn some money and calls Elias, agreeing to work with him. The next day when she meets Elias, he explains the entire plan. "Look, we're thieves and need to pull off a heist. For that, we require 3 different types of bikes. One must be as strong as a tank, capable of breaking through barriers. The suspension should be excellent, capable of handling rough terrains and off-roading, no matter how uneven or challenging the surface. And the third bike needs to be incredibly fast, with lightning speed performance. We need a bike like that. You're a mechanic, so get to work and start building these bikes." Theo, one of the 3 thieves and the second in command, begins assisting her. While they work tirelessly day and night to build these specialized bikes, another subplot unfolds. Mr. Daniel Carella receives an unexpected visit from the police at his home. They're investigating whether he might be connected to the thieves who have been causing havoc in the city for some time. Daniel responds indignantly, "How dare you accuse someone like me, a respectable and well-known citizen? Get out of here quietly. And as for the theft, catching thieves is your job, not wasting time on ordinary people like me." However, deep down, Daniel suspected that his children might have done something wrong, which could explain why the police had shown up at his house. In a moment of frustration, Daniel threatens his children, but his sister intervenes, calming him down. She says, "The children were raised well. They could never steal. Let them go." The scene then shifts to the evening where Sohaili is once again hard at work building bikes. After much effort, she finally creates the fastest bike yet, one that is unmatched in speed. Once the bike is complete, Sohaili spends some time with Theo, sharing pieces of her past. She tells him that as a child, after her mother passed away, she channeled her anger by taking a dirt bike and riding it at extreme speeds. However, during one high jump, she lost control, fell and broke her hand. She ended up hospitalized and as a result, gave up riding forever. Since the team of 3 thieves was missing a member, Elias and Lucas started seeing Sohaili as a potential third partner. However, she was adamant and had no intention of joining forces with them. Meanwhile, Yassine manages to escape from jail and heads straight to his team. He says, "We've been planning this heist for a long time and now the time has come." Elias questions him, "How did you escape from jail? Could the police have sent you here?" Yassine pauses deep in thought and realizes that it might actually be a police strategy to let him escape and track their location. Before he can fully process the situation, the sound of approaching police sirens fills the air, signaling that the authorities are closing in. In a fit of rage, Elias shoots and kills Yassine, then hands the gun to Michael. Just then, Shui Li arrives. Elias tells Michael, "If you can prove you're capable of robbing, take the gun." But Michael, visibly shaken, vomits as he stares at the lifeless body of Yassine. Elias, sensing Michael's hesitation, threatens Sohaili, saying, "Now Michael's fingerprints are on the gun. What are you going to do about it?" To ensure that Michael doesn't get caught, Sohaili steps in and says, "Fine, I'll be your third rider, but my brother must not get caught." With this agreement, they manage to escape just before the police arrive. However, later that night, they remain anxious and fearful, uncertain about what might happen during the heist and whether things will spiral out of control. The next day, Sohaili prepares herself with unwavering determination. She takes her late mother's old dirt bike and heads to the racetrack where she spent her childhood. Her practice sessions are fueled by memories of her mother, the weight of her father's debt, and the need to prove her brother's innocence. Burdened with responsibilities, she has to make her aunt proud, repay her father's loan, clear her brother's name, and carve out a future for herself. After rigorous preparations, Sohaili is ready for the big heist. The day of the operation arrives, and Elias has already coordinated with a double agent. Their target is a Russian buyer transporting expensive red diamonds. The team knows the location of the deal, and their plan is daring yet simple. Using their fast bikes, they aim to block the buyer's vehicle, cause it to crash, hold them at gunpoint, steal the diamonds, and escape through rough, winding routes, smashing through any barriers in their path. As the plan unfolds, everything seems to go as expected until they face an unexpected challenge. The head of the police department, Lucas, arrives. Lucas has been determined to catch these ex-bikers for a long time. He steps in to stop them, and an intense chase ensues. Elias and Lucas face off in a fierce fight, both men exhausting themselves. At one point during the fight, Lucas manages to handcuff Elias, and that's when Soeli arrives on the scene. Elias urges her to unlock his handcuffs quickly, saying they need to get to the thief who has the diamonds. But Soeli reveals that the bag she has is empty. She says, "Theo has betrayed you. He's taken the diamonds and fled." The story ends with the lesson that a thief can never truly trust another thief. They are bound to betray each other eventually. A year later, during the next racing season, the story moves forward. This time, two members of the Carella family, Soeli Carella and Michael Carella, are both participating in the Grand GT race. The post-credit scene shows both siblings ready on the track, with Theo, who stole all the diamonds, standing on the side. He nods at Soeli. She sees him and he turns around. Both Soeli and Michael prepare for the race, put on their helmets, and exchange a fist bump before the race starts. The movie ends here.